Welcome to Inlay Product World and to our instructional video on completing our Marquetry and Intarsia kits. For our purposes here, we'll define Marquetry kits to be those in which single sheets of various veneers are cut and assembled into a closely fitting background veneer sheet. This sheet is then glued onto a substrate or baseboard, such as plywood or MDF, and then finished. Wood has a warmth and beauty which is unique in our synthetic age. Marquetry as a technique has been part of our world's culture for several thousand years. It developed into a popular form of high art in Europe during the 17th through 19th centuries. Now, with the availability of thin veneers from all over the world, the marquetarian has an easier job than ever of cutting veneer for pictures. Marquetry is an art. There are many instruction books and videos available. It takes some practice to produce a good product. The trick to gain skill is patience and practice. As in any art form, there are many ways to accomplish the same effect. We don't claim that our way is best. However, we do claim that the methods shown here work for us and should work for you. Let's begin with a typical flower design. We start off with the artisan applying the photographed copy to the background veneer. First, tape is applied to the edges of the background so the background doesn't break, cut, or split. The background will get a lot of handling in the course of construction. Any type of tape, artist tape or masking tape, will do the job. Next, the artisan applies glue to the back of the pattern, which has to be created on a piece of thin plastic or paper. You can copy the pattern using a laserjet or inkjet printer or copier. Here we are looking at the drawing, which has been glued to the background. Of course, there are a number of pieces as this work has been done in a Marquetry production studio. In this view, the artisan has created a template of a petal in the picture because he'll be making many petals for copies of the same picture. You won't necessarily do this for one Marquetry picture. These petals will be shaded in the next sequence. Shading is done using the traditional hot sand method. The sand is heated in a small pot over a heating plate. Very low tech, as part of our purpose will be to assure you that you don't need expensive equipment to do good marquetry. Here, sand is poured on the petals, although in other cases the veneer can be dipped in the sand using tweezers or similar holders. The sand is pretty hot, so be careful. Pouring this way gives a result of graduated shading. Here are some examples of petals which have been shaded using this method. For the next step, an artisan will begin cutting the marquetry pieces using masking tape, white glue, and several knives which have a curved blade and one which has a straight blade. Here is a view of the different pieces of veneer that will be used to form the various components of our picture. Now, the first thing the artisan does is to take a piece of veneer that will be inserted into the background and arrange it under the background in a way she finds attractive. She then turns both over and tapes the piece to the background so it won't move while it's being cut. The two pieces are turned over again, and she proceeds to cut into both pieces so that the background is cut through and the lower piece is just scored. Notice that as she does this, the knife is almost level with the picture. This is because the hook blade would tend to tear the background veneer if it were more vertical. The veneer doesn't tear in part due to the stabilizing effect of the pasted-on picture. Notice that as she cuts the outline, she moves the piece to facilitate the cutting. She turns the work, not her body, and is always cutting with a left to right pull. Of course, if you're left-handed, you would be doing the reverse. She removes the lower piece from the background and then completes the incision using the scored line as a guide. She applies white glue to the inside edges of the cutout background and then taps in the substitution piece using light hammer blows. The reason for the tapping is to spread the fibers of the veneer at the edges, thus securing a close fit. It also flattens the veneer pieces together. The knife blade causes a natural gap called a kerf, which can be filled well by tapping the joint. She then tapes the picture in place, the pieces in place in the picture, while the glue dries. She then selects another veneer, this time for a leaf, and repeats the process, cutting along the drawing outline. She discards the piece she cut out of the background and then completes the cutout of the replacement pieces by following the scored lines. Notice again that her knife is almost on the horizontal. Something that will save your fingers from getting too tired is to keep your index finger a little more unbent, not quite like the artisan here. Remember, each artisan spends many hours a day at work, and their fingers are more adjusted than yours or mine for this work.